What's happening, guys? Will from revolutionarylifestyledesign.com coming to you today to talk about 22 small tips that make a big difference in the gym. And these are just some quick hacks that I've picked up over the last 15 or so years of training that are going to make your time in the gym safer, more efficient, and with better results. So let's get started. Number one, be ultra careful in putting weights back, okay? I know this might sound baby lotion soft to worry about, racking the weights and the way that you pick up weights. But I'm telling you, once you get a safe, slow routine together, you're not going to get injured in the gym. I haven't been injured in more than over 5 years. You can check out my minimalist routine that I do. I've advanced that a little bit since then, but I'm a big fan of lifting to fatigue, lifting to slow, medium tempo, and doing only one set per exercise with a very small amount of sets or small amount of exercises in the routine, and lifting twice a week, 3 times at the absolute most. So that has prevented any kind of injury that I've had in the gym for, as I said, over 5 years now. But anytime that the most damage that I've done is literally from not putting weights back properly. And that's just where you get a kink in your neck. If you've got a problem with your neck and your back, like I do, I've got light scoliosis in my upper back. And if I bend down to pick up a weight, I don't bend my knees. I bend from the back, and I'm trying to turn and carry 2 45-pound plates to get back to the weight rack. That's where I'll feel like a kink in my neck, and that's what I call a pre-injury. That means I need to take, a couple of days off in the gym and just rest it so that it doesn't get into anything serious. So be super careful with picking up the weights. If you're carrying 2 45-pound plates, bend down like you would with a squat, with knees straight, back straight. Pick them up, back straight, and if you're going to turn, if you're bringing them back to a machine or whatever over here, turn your whole body, okay? Turn the entire body. Don't turn your neck. Keep your neck perfectly straight, and you won't get injured doing that. It's a kind of an important thing, and it's something that I see a lot of guys mess up on. They've got perfect form on the actual exercise, and then they're bending over, picking up the weight, jerking their back, and it's a quick way to get a little injury. Number 2, go early. I'm in the gym no later than 8 o'clock because the gyms don't open until 8 in Thailand. Otherwise, I would be in the gym at 7 o'clock because there's no one else there, and because I have the absolute maximum amount of energy at that time because I train fasted and I train after a caffeine pill, and I do intermittent fasting, so I don't eat till noon, and that means my prime time for energy is 6 o'clock till about 11. Pretty much the absolute prime is within the 30 minutes after taking my caffeine pill when I wake up in the morning, and I wake up at 6 or 7 o'clock. So that for me is not only my maximum time for energy, but there's no one else in the gym, so you can use all the machines you want. You're not trying to get dressed in a clusterfuck of sweaty dudes, all over the place. It's really much more pleasant experience on that end as well. Number 3, use machines. Okay, this is going to go against a lot of what you read on bodybuilding.com. A lot of guys you're going to say you're a pussy if you don't only use free weights and machines don't properly recruit your stabilizer muscles. And this is true to some degree. But I don't want I want something that is going to manage my stabilizer muscles. So if I've got 200-pound dumbbells on one side, that is very easy for me to get injured if I'm pushing to fatigue and one of my stabilizer muscles is out of alignment or is pushed too hard. You can feel it. You can feel it when you're using the barbell. You can feel even when you're using dumbbell for bench press or something like that. It does not feel as secure because you have to recruit these stabilizer muscles. I like to have the machine where the entire arc of the movement is laid out for you, and that way I feel much more in control of the movement if I'm doing like an incline bench where I'm sitting up. And I absolutely prefer that. All you have to do is just add, maybe another 20 pounds to what you're lifting. And if you're lifting to fatigue, you're going to realize if you switch from a barbell bench to a machine bench, your lifts are going to go up by 30 pounds or something like that. And that's fine, just accommodate for that. Keep in mind that the weights are just a measuring system for the strength of your muscular contraction, okay? So you're not going to get small because you start using machines. If you can bench press 400 pounds on a machine, you're huge, okay? It doesn't matter if you're using a machine or not, right? Watch Jay Cutler on the machines. He's bench pressing, 500 pounds or whatever insane amount he's doing. And the machine is not going to cost you size, okay? As long as you are lifting to fatigue and pushing to your absolute maximum on each set, you are not going to have to worry about losing size on the machines. Number 4, consider dropping deadlifts and squats from your routine. Okay, again, this is going to go against the intuitive wisdom of such scientific sites as bodybuilding.com, where you're a pussy if you don't use free weights and if you don't deadlift and squat. Well, I'll tell you something. You don't see a whole lot of 50-year-old guys deadlifting and squatting. That's because they are dangerous exercises and they are exercises that take a toll on your body. Now, with that said, deads and squats are some of the best mass builders available, if not the best mass builders. I built a lot of my mass in my early 20s on squatting and deadlifts, and they're terrific exercises if you're young, if you have flawless form, and if you have no injuries or no infection that give you some type of inflammation. I have a leaky gut, which means that my joints are inflamed, so I have to use collagen types 1 and 3 as well as hyaluronic acid to keep my joints loose. And for example, if I'm going to deadlift, my back is going to be stiff, much more stiffer than usual for the next 3 days after that deadlift. And having light scoliosis in my upper spine means that I cannot do barbell squats, period. Okay, if I'm going to lift to fatigue with a proper amount of weight on my back, it is no longer an option for me because I feel the tingling in my hands. It is not the right move for a guy like me. And even if you're young and healthy, you gotta think that your body's gotta last to your 40s and 50s. Okay, you gotta act as if. And as a guy at 33, it's just not happening for me on those 2 lifts for 2 reasons. One, the chance of injury, okay, and I don't care if you do it with flawless form, there's still a much larger chance of injury on those 2 exercises. And number 2, the stiffness that comes with it. The stiffness that comes with deadlifts for me, as well as the stiffness that comes with squats. And for me, with squats, is totally out of the picture strictly because of the scoliosis. That applies specifically to me. It might not apply to you, but to me, even if you're a healthy guy, putting that giant barbell on your upper back is just not a safe thing to do. I don't care how healthy you are. There are much safer options. So here are the options that I would recommend. Okay, for deadlifts, the trap bar deadlift is a great one. Okay, that's where you step inside the bar, specifically built for that, and the handles are at the side. When you're doing that, that's going to take a ton of the weight off your lower back and put more of the weight towards your mid and upper back. And I feel if I was going to deadlift, I would do that over standard deadlifts. I feel much, much safer doing that trap bar deadlift because when you're actually pushing to fatigue on that final rep, I feel way too much stress and strain in my lower back, and I was always worried, is this going to pop a disc or is this going to do something? And it just doesn't feel safe. Okay, and if you're looking in my Minimalist training routine. You're looking at the quick video that I did where I demoed the 4 compound lifts. Yes, I did demo a deadlift, but that was because they didn't have the trap bar deadlift at the particular gym that I was demoing. So I would recommend the trap bar deadlift as a much safer alternative. If you want to remove the deadlift altogether like I have because of the stiffness that comes with my back, I do strictly nothing but pull downs and seated rows. And actually my back blew up, my back thickness blew up once I started doing only those things. Specifically, seated rows have worked very well for my back thickness, and I haven't lost any mass after stopping deadlifts. In fact, I've still been gaining up until now, where I'm close to my genetic potential, minus going on a pro hormone cycle, which I do. Squats, the best thing to do is the Hammer Strength V Squat machine, which is what I use now. Basically, the Hammer Strength V Squat, if you don't know, you can check out my article on revolutionarylifestyledesign.com to see what that looks like. It puts the 2 like nice big padded things on your shoulders, and then you've got the weight plates on the side. So basically you've got 2 nice soft pads on your shoulders, and then you're pushing off at an angle which reduces a lot of the strain on your knees. This is what I use now, and it barely puts any stiffness on my spine, and I can do 400 pounds on there and I will not notice that much more stiffness with my spine. The other option is leg press. I've grown a ton on leg press, and leg press is a terrific exercise. And just make sure that if you're doing the type of leg press where the weight plates are on top of you, just make sure that you set the limiter at the step just below where it's coming all the way back. What I'm trying to say, and explaining this very badly, is you do not want to be in a position with the leg press where it gets stuck. Because if you're pushing to fatigue, that means that you are not going to be able to get to even midway through your final rep. It's going to be stuck on top of you, and you don't want that to be 400 pounds of leg press stuck on top of you. You want to be just one limiter above where that would be, if that makes any sense. But those are the substitutions that I would suggest. Don't worry, guys, you're going to grow just fine on those. Okay, if you can leg press 500, 600 pounds, you're going to be okay. With that said, another thing to mention about the legs is I've actually stopped myself from growing on leg press and squats. I'm not trying to get any higher than where I am now, because literally I don't like the look. I don't like having an ass that's too big, and thighs that's too big is not a particularly good look on a guy, and it makes it that much harder to find pants that fit. And having ultra muscular legs is not a particularly aesthetic look in my book. Okay, number 5, avoid exercises where you need a spotter. Okay, this is huge, because if you go to the gym at the same time every week, like I do, you're on a schedule, you're on a routine, that means that you have to rely on someone to be there at the same time as you. And people are unreliable, okay? I'm going to have a hard time finding training partners who are going to be there at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock every single week when I want them to be. And, I just don't like having to rely on anyone. In fact, at the gym, I like to be completely in my own zone. Exercises where you would need a spotter are pretty much almost any type of barbell compound movement. For example, the barbell bench press. As I said, you're lifting to fatigue. That means that the bar is going to be on your chest, or just maybe an inch above your chest when you're actually at true fatigue. Okay, you're probably not even going to get halfway up into the middle of the rep, because you killed yourself getting to full extension on the rep before, and now you're just pushing it. You're holding for 5 seconds at your absolute max, and you can't move the weight anymore, and then the weight starts to slowly fall back against you. When you're on a machine, no problem. The weight just goes back racks itself. When you're doing 250 pound, 350 pound bench press, that barbell is going to be sitting on your chest. And I see guys barbell bench press all the time without a spotter. And that is crazy to me. It's either crazy if they're going hard, or the majority of the time they're not pushing to fatigue, so they easily rack the weight, and then they don't grow. Because if you're not breaking personal records, you're not growing, okay? At least until you get into the insane advanced bodybuilder stage where they're doing insulin and all kinds of other crazy shit. For now, all you need to worry about is getting stronger, and getting stronger means you need to push through where your plateaus are, and you're not able to do that on a barbell bench press without a spotter, or you're going to have the weight on top of your chest, and that's not a good place to be. So avoid exercises where you need a spotter. If you don't trust me on the machines and you're worried about losing your gains, just switch from a barbell bench press to dumbbell bench press. And dumbbell bench press, you can go all out. Okay, you can go all out 100% to fatigue, and it's not going to come crashing down on your chest. Yes, you risk a bit more damage of your shoulders and your elbow joints, which is why I recommend the machines. But the point is, you're not going to seriously injure yourself by the weight coming down on your chest if you switch to dumbbells. So in summary, switch to machines or switch to dumbbells. Number 6, skip workouts when you're pre-injured. Okay, the pre-injury I talked about from racking weights improperly and turning my neck too quick is one way that I've noticed I get pre-injured. Another pre-injury comes if I sleep on my stomach and I've got my neck turned to the side. Again, I have a bit of a problem with my upper neck and spine. Okay, and once a quarter I sleep wrong on my neck and I feel it's a bit kinked. I know that I need to not go to the gym for the next about 3 to 4 days, okay, because I'm pre-injured. And if I were to go to the gym and do my standard neck raises and shrugs to work on my trap and neck, I would 100% be injured, okay? And that would be 2 to 3 months of recovery. Maybe it would be even a lifetime nagging injury. I still have a lifetime nagging shoulder injury that I got from bench pressing too hard when I was 21 years old and with incorrect form and too many sets, okay? Because I did not have a safe routine back then. So now when I'm pre-injured, I know I got to take 3 or 4 days off and recover. Do not think that you got to go no matter what and you're pussy if you don't go. Okay, if you're feeling good pain, you push through that pain, but you got to understand what's good pain and bad pain. If my neck is kinked, that's bad pain. That means I got to take time off, because there's no point in pushing through that routine only to have, you go hard, you be a man, you push yourself, you say don't be a pussy. Then you get injured and you're out of the gym for 3 months and, you lose your gains. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So skip workouts when you're pre-injured. Number 7, use lifting straps. I use lifting straps from Grizzly Fitness. You can check out the link on my article. The reason I use lifting straps on stuff like seated rows, and if you're going to do deadlifts, you're going to need the lifting straps, is because it takes a lot of the strain off your wrists and means that your back, which is what you're trying to work during those exercises, is going to fatigue before your wrists. If I don't wear the lifting straps, my wrists fatigue before my back, and then my back is not getting the maximum benefit of that exercise, and my back is not being pushed to pure fatigue every time. A lot of guys, again, on bodybuilding.com talk about natural raw lifting and blah, 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 because your grip strength and your forearm strength. I couldn't care less about my forearms or my grip. My forearms get worked on almost every exercise, and they're at a perfectly good size already. I care about getting the maximum benefit for what I'm targeting in that particular exercise. And for stuff like rows and deadlifts, you're targeting the back, and I want the back to get maximum benefits. So I always keep those lifting straps in my bag, and they're cheap, they're efficient, and they're a terrific addition as far as I'm concerned. Number 8, use Spotify and a 32 gig SD card for state pumping music. For a guy like me who grew up in the pre-internet era, Spotify is the most amazing thing in the world. You can get any song you want at any particular time. Download it and it's yours. Okay, I've got thousands of songs on my Spotify, and the way I use the 32 SD card is I save a song and I go into Your Music, go into Songs, and click Available Offline. So that means that all my songs are available offline, and any song that I save to my music is automatically downloaded to my SD card. And that means that I can listen to the song at any time without lag, without data charges, and at a higher quality than if I were to stream it. The only time I'm streaming songs is if I'm hearing a song for the first time, judging whether I like it, and then once I save it, then it's added to my offline music. And you're not going to be able to listen songs without Spotify, even if you're downloading offline. You're still only going to be able to listen to that song through the Spotify app, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to have Spotify forever. $8 a month to have access to any song available, and then have all my songs available offline to listen to is terrific. And that means that I can have state pumping music for whatever state I'm going for. So for cardio, I want something that's happy. If I'm lifting really heavy and hardcore, I'm going to want some aggressive metal or some aggressive hip hop. And if I'm doing like slow body weight squats and push-ups, which I'm doing those strictly for joint health and to release endorphins. I'm going to want to get into like a trance. So I'm going to want some kind of trance music, something like that. So all these different states are all available within the Spotify app, and it's just a terrific addition to your workout. Number 9, keep your phone, wallet, and keys with you at all times. Gyms have a terrible problem with break-ins that a lot of the times they won't tell you about because it's the employees that are stealing from you after the gym's closed. That's how they consistently have these break-ins. And pretty much every major gym in a major city is going to have a lot of break-ins. They're just not going to tell you about it. I used to like to have a nice long sauna, nice long shower after the gym. But once I saw and heard about all these break-ins, it's just not an option, okay? So I'll keep, my jeans and sweatshirt or whatever in the locker. Maybe my shoes, the shoes, it's no problem because I don't really care if that shit gets stolen. But the phone, the wallet, the keys, so much data is available on your phone these days. That's just not an option for me. And if you've got expensive clothes with you or expensive watches, then just put it all in your gym bag and carry it around with you. It saves so much hassle. So don't keep your stuff in the locker because there's a good chance that if you're going to the gym for 3 to 4 years, within that period you will get, your shit stolen. Number 10, wear cotton. Cotton or sweatpants are called sweatpants for a reason because you can sweat in them and they don't fucking stink. And I'm telling you, I've tried this for upwards of 6 months of wearing the same gym sweatpants. They do not smell. It is amazing. Okay, I'm not saying you have to do that, but wear cotton and it won't smell. On the top, you can wear like a cotton t-shirt, but that will smell a bit more because of armpit sweat, and that you're going to have to change once a month or once every couple months unless you use a cotton tank top like I do. Not only does the cotton tank top let you show off the guns that you've been working so hard on, but there's no sweat and you can wear that for an entire year and it's not going to stink. It's pretty amazing. So wear cotton. If you're wearing like the typical gym shorts, the typical nylon, and you do one set of cardio, they're going to smell like ass. Okay, if you're wearing sweatpants, they are not going to smell. So wear cotton. It's much better for absorbing the smell. Number 11, wear Chucks. And then by that I mean Chuck Taylors. Chuck Taylors have been in style for the last 50 years. They'll probably be in style for the next 50 years. And they're the perfect shoe for lifting because they have a flat sole. And that means that the weight load for squats or trap bar deadlifts or for the elliptical machine is distributed evenly throughout the foot, and you're not going to develop any type of imbalance. Also, the shoes last forever. You're never going to have to, you can have one pair of Chuck Taylors for the rest of your life. So they last forever and they're cheap to buy. So get your Chucks and use them. Number 12, keep your gym stuff in your gym bag at all times. I've gone so far as to get 2 separate gym bags. I have a bootleg Fred Perry that I bought off AliExpress for like $40. And then I have an Adidas gym bag that has my gym stuff in it all the time. This isn't so crucial now that I don't have an office job. For those of you guys who don't have office jobs, if you don't keep your gym stuff in your gym bag all the time, once a month, you're going to get to the gym and you're not going to have your fucking gym shoes. And then because you forgot to pack them, then you're going to be the guy working out in dress shoes and dress socks looking like a jackass. Or you're going to forget your lifting straps and you're going to have to try and do your trap bar deadlifts without your lifting straps, and you're not going to be able to beat your personal bests, and therefore that particular day is going to be a waste. So you will forget if you have to pack your gym bag every time you leave. Just put everything in the gym bag, leave it there at all times, and you won't have to worry about forgetting anything. Next up, point number 13, lift slow and focus on the muscle. Explosive movement is a good way to get injured. Unless you're a UFC athlete, professional athlete who's training for explosive movement for his particular sport, if you play pro football, explosive movement is not the way you want to approach weightlifting, because that is going to be very hard on your joints. It's going to be very easy to get injured. You want to keep a medium to a slow tempo and focus on feeling every inch of the movement with your mind on the particular exercise and the particular muscle that you're focusing on. I've taken it now where I actually do most of my movements with my eyes closed so that I can really focus in on the muscle. And for sitting down on and using machines, this is not as difficult as it sounds. And this is especially important on exercises, back exercises, okay? It is very easy to do seated rows and do all the lifting in your wrists and shoulders as opposed to the back. But when you focus on the back, you focus on lifting only with your back, you are going to notice, one, that you're only going to be able to lift about 70% of what you lifted before, but 2, you're going to notice that your back really blows up and you're going to get a pump in your back. Okay, if I don't focus on my back, I don't get a pump in my back. I get a pump in my forearms and I get a pump in my shoulders. So you really need to focus on the particular muscle that you want for that specific exercise. Another one where a lot of guys aren't lifting slow and aren't focusing is with the bicep curls. I used to do this too, where you're leaning in with your lower back and you're doing these jerky upward motions where your forearms and your lower back are doing half the work so that you can get, so you can put more points on the scoreboard so you can look better in the gym because you're throwing around a big bicep curl. But really what you want to do is you want to cut your bicep curl in half. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're lifting 25 pounds, and focus on contracting that bicep as much as possible on the eccentric and on the concentric. So on the way up and on the way down, you want constant tension on the bicep. My exercises now, and I'm eventually gonna have to give you guys my advanced routine, I don't do full extension on the way up, and I don't do full I don't do full extension on the way down. I'm keeping constant tension on it. I drop my lifts down, way down, so that I use relatively light weight, focus completely on the muscle, and keep constant tension throughout that exercise. All right. If you give this a shot, you might find 25-pound bicep curls exhausting. Okay, and you might find that you've got a pump in your bicep bigger than you ever had before when you're curling 100 pounds. So I'm not saying you still want to lift to fatigue, but you want to make sure that the fatigue is in the muscle that you are trying to work as opposed to the auxiliary muscles. It's very, very important. Number 14, use Google Keep to record your lifts, okay? You're lifting to fatigue and you're going in to break personal bests. That's all you're doing in the gym. And you need to have your lifts recorded because otherwise you're not going to know what you need to hit to break your personal best. I find Google Keep is the best note-taking app because one, it loads very quickly. Evernote loads way too slow on your phone. And number two, it is automatically synchronized across the web the second you hit, the second you type it in. It's synced online. You can access it on the web, and it's linked to your Google username account. And unlike a lot of other note-taking apps, it's probably not going to go under anytime soon. So you can have that information available to you at any particular time. Number 15, use 5-pound weight plates as a do-it-yourself barbell jack. What I mean by that is, let's say you're doing trap bar deadlifts and you're trying to load 400 pounds on the trap bar. You're trying to do 4 plates per side. Okay, if you're just keeping the trap bar as is, the 45-pound plate is going to take you like a minute just to slide on. You got to wiggle the thing on, and it's at a horizontal angle. And if you're lifting heavy, it might take you 7 minutes to load up the damn trap bar. And by then you've already, half a workout is just putting the fucking thing on. Then you got to take it off, and it's a real hassle. So you put a 5-pound plate underneath the trap bar, and underneath where you're loading the weights. You can see in the article how this looks. And then you've got the weight coming down on an angle. So you can just put the 45-pound on, and it slides down nice and easy. And you load the whole thing within, a minute at the most. It's a very, very easy way of getting the weights on. Number 16, don't shit where you eat. Okay? Don't pick up girls or hit on girls at the gym. A lot of PUA guys will tell you to hit on girls all over the place and not to feel shame and not to worry. Well, I don't buy that, because everyone feels some type of shame, and you can feel a lot less shame than the average person like I do. But still, like, if you hit on a girl at the gym and she rejects you, okay, it's not a big deal. But she might talk about you at the gym. You might get a reputation, or you date the girl for a while, you fuck her, and you're not into it anymore, and she could be mad at you at the gym. She could bring drama. She could, might be awkward between the two of you. I view that as like, the gym is like your workplace. You don't want to shit where you eat. You don't want to mess those two things up. And it's like, guys, if you maxed out your sexual market value, you're not going to need to hit on girls at the gym. You're going to have so many other options. You're going to be able to do day game and online game and social serve and all these different things. Just leave that as your time, okay? Number 17, take as much rests between sets as you need, all right? This is very important. If you're following my routine where I only have one upper body and one lower body exercise, the reason I do that for my minimalist training routine is because, let's say you're doing one day where you're doing, you're doing the bench press, and then you got a set of squats. Okay, so the bench press, if you're pushing to fatigue, is going to take a fair amount out of you. You want to be going into those set of V squats with all your energy, because you are trying to break a personal best, and you're trying to get your legs when you have the maximum energy possible. That's why I don't have a million exercises on my routines, because the way I see it, I only care about maximum strength, and if I'm tired, I'm not going to be able to hit maximum strength. It's like the reason I don't do an hour of cardio before I go in and do a set of heavy squats, because I'm only going to be able to do 50% of my max, and if I'm doing 50% of my max and not breaking records, I'm not going to grow. So I want you to take a lot of rest between your sets so that you are coming in at 100%, if possible, into that next set. You want to be as close to 100% as possible so that you can break that record. Make sense? All right. Number 18, use stims. I use a stim like caffeine before every exercise, not every exercise, but every time I go to the gym, because that puts me in a great mood for working out. I have great energy, and I can break records, and that's what it's all about. In Canada, when I used to live in Canada, ephedrine was legal there, so I use that. That's a great thing to use as well. Assuming you don't have a heart condition. Kratom is another great drug that acts as a stimulant. You can check out my article on how to destroy plateaus using kratom at revolutionarylifestyledesign.com. Number 19, stretch before, after, and during. You can't stretch enough. A good thing to do is when you're taking that long rest period between each set, between the different exercises, go over to the stretching area, take out the resistance band, stretch out your shoulders, use the Theracane to massage your back, stretch, do some calf stretches to get your legs warmed up, do some joint circles, circle your elbow out, circle your knees out, get everything loose and limber and ready to go. And do this before, during, and after. You've only got one body, and it takes 10 minutes maybe, and it's super important to do that. And that's something that I see most guys don't stretch at all, and it's just not smart. Number 20, breathe through reps with your mouth. Okay, this is important. Breathe through reps with your mouth. This is not, again, this is going to be counter to a lot of the advice you hear. A lot of the advice you hear is breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And that's great for cardio. That's great for day-to-day life. But that will hinder you in your maximum strength output. The way that you do it is on the inbound of the rep, you breathe in with your mouth, and on the outbound part of the rep, you breathe out strong. Okay? The reason I do inbound with my mouth is because I'm not able to take in a full, powerful breath of air with my nose. When on the inbound, I might be able to take in only 75% of the air that I need to give my lungs a full tank. And if I'm closing in on the last rep, I want an absolute full tank so I can push and breathe out as hard as I possibly can and use my breath to power out the final rep. And if I breathe in with my nose prior to that, I'm not going to be able to get that full tank of air, and I'm not going to be able to get that sudden burst of air when I need it. When I've just maxed out the second last rep, I want to get as much air in as possible because I'm going to be gasping for breath, and I want to fill my lungs with air as absolutely fast as possible. Okay, this is not healthy breathing for life. This is not a breath control exercise. This is breaking plateaus. Okay, and breaking plateaus means that you want to do whatever you can to make that happen. I'm not telling you to breathe like this for the rest of your life, but I'm saying breathe in through the mouth, out through the mouth to get that full tank of energy for each exercise. Okay, and again, you want on the inbound part of the rep, you're breathing in. On the outbound part of the rep, you're breathing out, and use your breathing to do a lot of the work for you. Finally, last point, stay in your zone. Okay, stay in your zone. When I go to the gym, that's my time. I got my headphones on. Sometimes I have the hood up. I'm not talking to people. I'm not fluttering around. I'm not doing chit chat. I'm trying to get myself into a trance. I'm trying to focus on my muscles. I'm trying to get into a trance so I can be in this perfect focused trance, be totally in tune with my muscles, and go in there and do work. And I love going to the gym. I love doing my cardio because I feel terrific after it. And I'm going there to do work. Okay, that's my workspace. I'm not going there to talk to girls. I'm not going there to chit chat or fuck around. I'm there to get into a trance, stay in my zone, do my thing, and go home. All right. You'll notice the guys who are always walking around, talking, fluttering around, they always seem to stay the same size. They don't get any bigger because they're not serious about their training. Okay, if you're serious about the training, you're going in there to do work, you're going in there to stay in your zone, and you're going in there to get results, which is breaking fucking plateaus and getting bigger and stronger. All right, boys, that's it. Hopefully those tips will help you. If you got any questions, let me know. Let me know how the tips are working for you, or feel free to add any particular tips that work for you in the comment section of this video or in the comment section of the article. And that's it. I want to thank you for watching the video on YouTube. I want to thank you if you're listening to this on iTunes. And I also want to thank you if you've read the article on revolutionarylifestyledesign.com. And I wish you all the best in your personal development journey.